It's confirmed. This is his last chance as a New York Ranger. With training camp well underway, Jacob Trouba came out and made some truly shocking comments about his future with the organization, and this season is truly shaping up to be Last Dance-esque for the New York Rangers. We're going to break all of that down, but before we do, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 70% of you watching our videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. It's free, so do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button, and you get to stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. And the season is right around the corner, just a couple weeks away now, and training camp is well underway. And obviously there was some media day activities, a lot of interviews with different players, and some very interesting tidbits from some of the Rangers star players. And we're going to get to some stuff that Artemi Panarin said in a future video that I thought was very interesting. But today we're going to focus on Jacob Trouba and what he said about his future with the team, because we've heard obviously Chris Drury's thoughts, we've heard what's been said in the media, we heard all the rumors over the summer, but we have not heard from the captain himself, and he said some pretty shocking stuff just the other day, the first day of training camp. And obviously this first article, New York Rangers captain Jacob Trouba admitted today that this season is his last, not only his, but the entire team's last crack for this core to win a Stanley Cup. And I thought that was very interesting. He recognizes that this season is the last time that they will probably all be together. This is the last opportunity that this core has to win a Stanley Cup together. And after an offseason of hearing his name in trade rumors, Jacob Trouba arrived at training camp, again determined to help lead the New York Rangers to a Stanley Cup. Again, I think it's a Stanley Cup or lost season for the Rangers at this point. They have to find a way to win the Stanley Cup. They're way too good. There's way too much money allotted to star players for this to go south this season. They have to win the Stanley Cup or at least make the final. But again, you can't be thinking about at least making the third round or at least making the final. You have to win the Stanley Cup. And the New York Rangers captain admitted that it might be his last opportunity to win with this core group of players. And direct quote from the captain himself: in all likelihood, this will be the last crack for this core, Trouba stated on Thursday after the first on-ice session of camp. I don't think it's a secret by any means. And of course, he had some interesting tidbits on Friday as well, Saturday, because obviously training camp is going to be ongoing and preseason starts just a few days. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And he had some interesting tidbits. We'll get to those in just a second. But he is recognizing that he was almost traded. It's very likely that he will be traded at the end of this season, and that this is the last crack for this core group of players, which I thought was very interesting. And the reason why it is because they tried to trade him this past offseason. Obviously, that went south. He got wind of who they wanted to trade him to and was able to put them on his no-trade list, which happened on July 1st. It kicked in on July 1st, and he downplayed the trade rumors first day of camp, but he does know what's coming, right? And this states it right here. Igor Shesterkin needs a new contract, and that is going to cost a lot of money. Maybe not the $12 million that he's asking for, but still probably $10 million, maybe just north of $10 million. It's going to be a lot. Obviously, you have to sign Alexis Lafreniere to a new contract. You have to sign K'Andre Miller, who probably won't make as much as some of those other players, but he will be paid very handsomely, I think, heading into the future. And obviously you have to allot some money for that. So freeing up $8 million of Jacob Trouba's contract moving forward looks very likely at this point, I think. And speaking of contract, he said, per my contract, I owed a list, and on June 30th, I knew that was coming. He knew exactly what was happening. He was going to get traded most likely the next day or July 2nd, and to the Detroit Red Wings. So he was able to basically block that, put them on his no trade list, or, you know, if they weren't before, or he didn't have that, you know, before. It kind of opened up now his contract where there is, he can have a list. So pretty interesting. And again, they can trade him to, I guess, 17 other teams at the end of this season. So it looks like he may be on his way out. But yeah, he went on to say nothing really more than that. Good communication throughout. So it seems like they're on really good terms, because there was a report during the summer that said, you know, it sounded like both parties were kind of disgruntled because the Rangers wanted to move on, wanted to free up cap space so they could do something with that, better the team. Not that you could easily better the team. I still think Jacob Trouba is a great defenseman, but at his age and a cap hit, they need to move in a different direction, I think, after this season. So this is his last shot. And to get into some more quotes from Jacob Trouba, in all likelihood, this will probably be the last crack for this core. The captain said, I don't think that's a secret by any means. And I mean, it was out there all summer. We've been talking about it. It looks like this will be the end of Jacob Trouba as a Ranger this full season. I don't see them moving off of him, obviously, throughout the season. I think they're really going to go for it, try to win a Stanley Cup, but this will be the last season for that. The Rangers will look different next year, and it's not like they'll get worse. They're still going to be very good. They just have to allot more money to some other younger star players, and it's part of the business of hockey. Trouba added later in his media availability. I've been fortunate enough to play in 2 great organizations so far in my career. Obviously, I had a no move that turned into a partial no trade. Obviously, that kicked in this July 1st. I knew that was coming this summer. It's not by surprise. It was obviously something that was negotiated at the time. It's part of pro sports. I can get traded now. I know that. I knew that when I signed the contract, that at this moment I could get traded. And we talked about that a lot over the summer, that, you know, the contract was signed and structured this way specifically for a reason. It was because of his family. If you want more info on that, go check out those videos as well. But there's a lot of talk about that over the summer, and that is no longer an issue after this season. So he's probably, you know, if the Rangers do want to move on, he has no say if he's traded to a team that's not on his list at the end of the day, right? So it looks like they probably might end up moving on from this player after all after this season. Again, in his media availability, he went on to say that he wasn't bothered by his name being in trade rumors over the summer, which was another big rumor over the summer, that the captain was disgruntled, not happy with management. Doesn't seem like that's the case. Again, it could be the case, and maybe he's just saying this so, you know, there's no drama within the organization and the team. He, you know, still has the goal of winning the Stanley Cup, and he wants to do that in New York. But I do truly believe that, you know, he likes New York. He wasn't bothered by it because, you know, that's pro sports and that's what you sign up for as a player. I want to be here. I love living here. I love New York. It's where I want to be. I'm happy to be here and excited to be back for the start of the season. And he went on to say that he's focused on winning, obviously, the Stanley Cup with the Rangers this year. That's an opportunity that we have in front of us. In all likelihood, this will probably be the last crack for this core. So very interesting quotes from Jacob Trouba, and some interesting stuff at training camp as well, because he started training camp playing with Kreider Miller, and obviously took some shifts, as you can see here from Vince, with Zach Jones as well. So they're really playing around with things, and he was back with Kreider Miller. He's spending a lot of time with Kreider Miller. That is very interesting, and we will keep a close eye on the defense pairings, but for now, it looks like Jacob Trouba will be a New York Ranger for the rest of this season. He wants to win a Stanley Cup. That's the Rangers' goal, and that's what they should be striving for. But after this season, sounds like he knows that they will be moving in a different direction. Very interesting. Let me know what you think about Jacob Trouba's comments in the comment section, and if he will be a New York Ranger past this season. It's looking very unlikely. It might be last dance time for the New York Rangers. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.